Hello all, I am Dr. Karthika from Department of Biomedical Engineering, SNS College of Technology, Coimbatore. Today we are going to discuss about something it is about the case study on biological effects of radiation in medical physics. Okay, first of all, how do we know about the effects of radiation on the cellular at the molecular level? Because we are going to discuss about the biological effects of radiation, so we have to consider this. See this one. When radiation interacts with target atoms, the energy is deposited, resulting in ionization or excitation. We know that very well. Here, the absorption of energy from ionizing radiation, it produces damage or molecules by direct or indirect actions. Because the final stage of the effects of radiation, it definitely affects the tissues or organs of the body. For direct action, the damage occurs as a result of ionization of atoms on key molecules in the biologic system. This causes inactivation or functional alteration of the molecule. While coming into indirect action, it involves the production of radioactive reactive free radicals whose toxic damage on the key molecule results in biologic effect. See the difference for direct action and indirect action. Okay. While talking about the direct effects, the ionization of atoms and molecules is a result of absorption of energy by photoelectric and Compton interactions. For photoelectric and Compton interactions, we have already discussed about in the previous lecture of this month. See that one for a reference. Here the ionization occurs at all radiation qualities, but the predominant cause of damage in reactions involving high LED radiations. Okay. LED means linear energy transfer range. Here the absorption of energy is sufficient as to remove an electron. It can result in bond breaks, electron bond breaks. Okay. Next one, in indirect action, these are effects mediated by free radicals. Here a free radical, it is an electrically neutral atom with an unshared electron in the orbital position. Here the radical is electrophilic and highly reactive. Okay. Here see this water molecules for reference. See this one. Here the free radicals are readily recombined to electronic and orbital neutrally. However, when many exist as in high radiation fluids, orbital neutrality it can be achieved by hydrogen radical dimerization and the formation of toxic hydrogen peroxide. Also, it involves the radical. It can also be transferred to an organic molecule into the cell. Okay, see this one for ionization and free radicals. Example, water molecules. Okay, in indirect action, we have to consider the recombination, dimer, peroxide dimer, radical transfer, and hydroperoxy free radical and organic peroxy free radical. We have to consider all of these. Okay. Here, in indirect action, the lifetimes of free radicals, simple free radicals, are very short, on the order of 10 power minus 10 seconds. Believe it or not, it is only 10 power minus 10 seconds. While generally highly reactive, they do not exist long enough to migrate from the site of formation to the cell molecule. Okay. However, the oxygen derived species such as hydroperoxy free radical, it does not readily combine into neutral forms. These more stable forms have a lifetime long enough to migrate to the nucleus, where serious damage can also occur. Okay. And one more thing, we have to consider bond breakage or inactivation of key functions. Also, we have to consider organic peroxy free radical for indirect action of free radicals. Here, the cumulative effect, it can occur greater than a single ionization or broken bond. Okay. Next one, it is about biochemical reactions with ionizing radiation. Here, the DNA, which is most important material making up the chromosomes and serves as the master blueprint for the cell. We know that very well. Here, this DNA, it determines what types of RNA are produced, which in turn determine the types of protein that are produced. Here, the DNA molecule, the form of twisted ladder or double helix. Okay, we see some models for DNA in the next class. I've shared some DNA models. If possible, I'll share with this video. The slides and the sides of the ladder are the strands of alternating sugar and phosphate groups. Here, the branching off from each sugar group is one of the nitrogenous bases. Okay, the next one is there is considerable evidence suggesting that DNA is the primary target for cell damage from the ionizing radiation. Okay, toxic effects at low to moderate doses. It appear as a result from damage to cellular DNA. Thus, ionizing radiation is a classical genotoxic agent. Okay, next one. Although the radiation can induce a variety of DNA lesions, including specific base damage, it has long been assumed that unrejoined DNA double strand breaks are the primary importance in its cytotoxic effects in mammalian cells. Okay, in this, the residual unrejoined double-stranded breaks are lethal to the cell, whereas incorrectly rejoined breaks may produce important mutagenic lesions. In many cases, DNA misrepair apparently leads to DNA deletions and rearrangements. Such large-scale changes in DNA structure are characteristics of most radiation-induced mutations. Okay, next one is about radiation induced chromosome damage. Here, the chromosomes are composed of DNA, and thus the large, tightly coiled, double stranded molecule is sensitive to radiation damage. Here, which are essentially radiation induced chemical changes in the nucleotides, which may not affect the integrity of the basic structure. Believe this. Okay, next one is about radiation induced chromosome damage, and thus an unequal division of nuclear chromatin material between the daughter cells may result in production of non-viable or abnormal nuclei. Okay, next one, it is about radiation induced membrane damage. Thus all belongs to the biological effects of radiation. It comes under biological effects of radiation. Okay, and thus ionizing radiation, it has been suggested as playing a role in plasma membrane damage, which may be an important factor in cell death, interface death. Okay, in DNA mutation, an unusual permanent changes in the primary structure of DNA, gene mutation. And this biological effects can also induce the chromosomal mutation. Change in the amount of DNA in chromosomes leads to abnormalities in cell division. It can also leads to genotoxic damage in the genetic information. Okay, and I have few questions about this case study. Here you can mark a T for true and for false F by your own. Let's make a small assessment about this case study. Okay, first one, drugs in aqueous media are generally more stable to radiation than in dry state. Mark your answer. And the next one is free radicals, regardless of how they are formed, are chemically less active than neutral atoms. And the next thing is ionization occurs at all radiation qualities, but is the predominant cause of damage in reactions involving low LED radiations. Okay, the next one is about the lifetimes of simple free radicals are very short, on the order of 10 power minus 10 second. While generally highly reactive, they do not exist long enough to migrate from the site of formation to the cell nucleus. Next question is about the oxygen derived species such as hydroperoxy free radical does not readily recombine into neutral forms. These less stable forms have a lifetime long enough to migrate to the nucleus where serious damage can occur. Next, there is a considerable evidence suggesting that RNA is the primary target for cell damage from ionizing radiation. Okay, next I have only a few questions. Ionizing radiation has been suggested as playing a role in plasma membrane damage, which may be an important factor in cell death or mutagenic effect. Although the radiation can induce a variety of DNA lesions, including specific base damage, it has long been assumed that unrejoined DNA double strand breaks are the primary importance of in its cytotoxic effects in mammalian cells. Okay, after that, I have the second set question. You please note down your mark your answer and verify by yourself. What are the temporal stages of radiation action and biological effects of radiation? What are the products of water radiolysis? What is the difference between direct and indirect effects of radiation? Hope you all have better understanding about the biological effects of radiation. Thank you.